Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is again a privilege and honor for me to be speaking to Major General Shashi Asthana, who's been a doyen of the USI and looks after the causes in the USI. He has been speaking at multiple forums across the world on India's strategic, you know, uh, carrying out India's strategic analysis, discussing security related issues, and he has a wealth of information. Today, I will be speaking to him about President Putin's visit to India on 4th and 5th of this month. Now, last week, President Putin traveled to India on a state visit for the 23rd annual summit meeting between India and Russia. Now, this summit, which first started in 2020, has continued annually except for disruptions during the COVID period when there's a ban on worldwide travel. And this time, the summit focused on solidifying economic ties, including uninterrupted shipment of Russian oil to India. But as always, whenever Indian and Russian policymakers meet, defense remains a critical pillar of their discussion. So this time also, defense was discussed, though it was not in the forefront. Now, why it was not in the forefront is one thing we can discuss today. But before that, sir, can you just give us the key takeaways from this 2 day summit that took place? There's an informal dinner which took place at the Prime Minister's house, and there was a summit meeting the next day. Can you just tell us something about that, sir?
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you and your viewers. As far as this visit is concerned, let's first see as to why it was important from the Russian point of view and why it was important from Indian point of view. As far as Russia is concerned, although it's a routine summit, because as you rightly mentioned, it was 23rd summit.
23rd summit.
And except for an interruption, otherwise it has been continuously. So it was not that it was out of the blue. It was certainly not out of the blue. It was routine. Most important thing is that this time trade was a major factor and the trade imbalance was a major factor between the two countries. And from the Russian point of view, to set the trade right, there was a very major compliment which came with President Putin with the intention and a good intention to somehow resolve this trade imbalance which we have. And therefore, trade remained in the focus. In addition to that, if you see the geopolitical conditions, obviously Russia also wanted to give a message to the Western world that they are not isolated. They are certainly there, and there are enough options for them as far as diplomatic engagements are concerned. As far as India is concerned, I think it was again a restatement of our strategic autonomy. President Trump has been harping and putting us at certainly inconvenient positions in a manner, additional 25% for buying Russian oil and things like that. But I think India did not succumb. And the visit of President Putin to India also, I think, gave a subtle message to everyone that we are going to follow our national interest, period. And others can have their own ideas, it's their problem. Also, the way we view Russia from our prison may be different than how West views Russia. Also, the important thing was, again, a subtle message to China as well from both sides. As far as Russia is concerned, it was being seen that Russia is becoming a junior partner of China and perhaps is becoming over-dependent. So here was a case where perhaps to some extent it was being shown that no, Russia is viewing India also as an equal partner, and if there was a no-limit relationship with China, he offered a similar kind of relationship to India too. So therefore, it was being seen that no, even for China, that we have other options as well. Similarly, as far as India is concerned, it was again from Chinese point of view, it was a restatement of the inter-se relationship, that this relationship is very strong. And President Putin, when he mentioned in somewhere in his conversations that we do not interfere in their bilateral matters. So that means playing Russia against India because of their closeness or no limit partnership is not the case in point. And therefore, I think our relationship with Russia has been very stable, perhaps the most stable relationship in the world, and will continue to remain so. Now, as you mentioned, regarding the big takeaways. Now, takeaways, there are many takeaways. Firstly,
We
both
won't
countries,
talk of defense, sir. We'll talk of the others first.
complete takeaways. Firstly, as far as the takeaways are concerned, energy is one. That Russia is open to giving non-stop flow of energy, uninterrupted flow of energy. Number one. Number two, they have also agreed to give additional power, additional fuel for the Kondakulam nuclear plant. So nuclear fuel is another one. And then both the countries are looking at 100 billion trade by
Yes,
2030.
sir, that's a big figure. But you mentioned the imbalance of the trade when you were talking. Out of the present trade, about 70 billion, 65 is what we buy from them, and 5 is what they buy from us. So it's totally imbalanced.
Exactly. So how they
and then there's also problem of the rupee ruble, and they say a lot of their money is stuck
both
in
the problems
India.
are interconnected because because of this imbalance, obviously we are trading in national currencies. So obviously they have a rupee surplus, and we have a this creates a disbalance. So I think how they intend settling this down, and that was a major portion of discussion, and that's why you would have found that the business meeting was quite heavy. And a lot of
business delegations
were heavy, and meeting was also quite relevant and important, and both the leaders attended that. So what is being thought of is as to what all Russia can buy from India. That is one. Secondly, they also looked at the list of the items which US has tariffed India, as to what all we can buy out of that, so that India's load on of the tariffs of US tariff is also reduced to some extent. The third thing which they looked at was how can we outsource service sector? How can we?
No, there's a very important bill that was signed regarding the, mobility, so to say, of labor going and working over there.
So therefore, that was another factor, that the requirement is that they need manpower, and we have surplus manpower, and we have skilled manpower, and therefore we also need jobs. So I think if we can regulate that, I think a fair amount of discussions took place how to cut down the illegal immigration, but at the same time how to enhance the people-to-people mobility. So that a fair amount of discussions took place, and I think a lot of ground has been covered in that. Visas have been e-visas have started. So tourism also, I think, is going to get a big boost in a manner that e-visa for 30 days that has also started. A big tour, I think they are also getting to get some kind of visas for 30 days. So that's another major area. Also, there is an intergovernmental commission which has been set up for sharing the military and defense technologies. At the same time,
talking of defense, I mean, you've covered all the other issues. Defense is a major pillar as far as we are concerned. We still hold they say India is the largest buyer of Russian equipment. We still account for 38 to 40% of the import. Plus, we are the largest holder within all our inventory, the largest holder of Russian equipment. So we got a huge inventory. So there are two things. One is buying new equipment. Secondly is maintaining the current inventory. It's necessary to have spares, to have ammunition, to have the support. So, I mean, there are 2-3 parts to it. And the third thing is in which the joint statement focused on is in future they're moving out from being a buyer to Russian equipment. We're moving to co-development of Russian equipment. So can you just walk us through these steps?
Yes, certainly. You see, what has happened is, if you see today's situation of Russia, they are short of manpower, they're short of capital. There's two things which they are short of, but they have adequate technology for defense manufacturing. As far as India is concerned, we are not short of manpower, and even capital-wise, India is a booming economy. So therefore, if we match the two, it becomes a good combination. And that is why perhaps this co-production and collaborations, that takes importance. And I think it was very well thought of that why not manufacture maximum equipment, Russia equipment in India? Why not manufacture spares in India? Why not manufacture other accessories in India? Because if you do that, then what happens is it is win-win for both. both are utilizing their capabilities, and both are covering up their limitations as well, because we need technology. So Russia was quite open this time in transfer of technologies, and
Yes,
they
so
were quite,
because why I'm coming to that, you
yeah,
see, we've been manufacturing Russian equipment in India, but more under what we call licensed production. You
yeah,
see,
exactly,
like tanks, aircraft. Just to give you have the HVF manufacturing the T-72, T-90, the assembling of that. Medak does the ICV, HAL does the MiGs. But when you move away, you see, the success has been BrahMos.
yeah.
But now we have to go on to more transfer of technology, joint production, joint design, joint development. That's a major step, sir, because our focus is on Atmanirbhar Bharat. So
Certainly, because India wants to become Atmanirbhar, and I think Russian president was quite open in saying in many conversations that we want to help India become Atmanirbhar. So considering that, there is the focus is certainly there to for transfer of technology and joint production. There is no doubt. And in addition, I think what Russians are also looking at, that they also get benefited in the bargain. And I'm sure that as we go along, there will be much more coordination. And as of now, as you would have seen, although not many announcements have been made. So that's where people are saying that, okay, I think defense may not have, but a lot of discussions have taken
yes, sir,
place.
discussions have
Yeah,
taken place. People were looking for announcements for two things. One is they were looking at announcements for a new missile system after the S-400. They were talking of, announcing that. We still have two batteries yet to come in. So there are delays in deliveries because of the Ukraine war. So that's one thing. And the second thing everybody was looking at was the next purchase of the next fighter, Su-57.
yeah.
Now, none of these big ticket announcements were announced. So can you just
See, at this point of time, I think it was prudent for both the countries to leave it at a discussion stage and not announce as a big ticket announcement. For the simple reason, because firstly, S400 2 are yet to come, and therefore we would certainly be placing some more orders. Secondly, S400, we have to debate between S400 and S500. So I'm sure some discussions must have taken place that what should be the next order. Should it be for S400, or should it be for S500, or should it be a mixed one? Similarly, as far as the aircrafts are concerned, we are yet to resolve certain awkward situations which we have with United States. So the moment S Sukhoi 57 deal is announced, I think there will be fair amount of turbulence.
yes, to be very honest with you, I think the people who are watching this visit the most were the US
Yeah,
to a great degree because even their trade talks depended on how what will be announced during President Putin's visit over here.
exactly.
And if it's
So
a trajectory which is very very strengthened in publicly, that there would have been problems with your
yeah,
trade.
exactly. So therefore, I think it makes sense for India to first sort out the trade deal with the United States and then make announcements. Even if they have to, if something has some discussions have reached a
If
fruitful
there, so
end.
you feel that we've been very mature in
Yes, we
our
have been very
dealing.
mature,
Yes.
because you cannot start derailing something which is still in progress and perhaps is about to see the light of the day, maybe in very short time. But notwithstanding that, United States was watching very carefully, and uh, I think we have given very subtle messages and very clear messages, even by not announcing. The fact is that United States knows that they have options, and we have
Well,
also,
we've demonstrated our options.
yes.
There's one other issue which I want to discuss with you, sir, and that is a pact that was signed in February this year, but only ratified a day before President Putin left for India by the Russian parliament or the Duma they call, and that is the reloss. So, can you throw some light on the reloss and its significance, and why do you think discussions were on for a long time? Why do you think it was delayed for such a while? What is the implications for us as a country? How do India and Russia both benefit from this logistic pact?
See, this logistic pact is beneficial to both for the simple reason because this gives an opportunity for both the countries to use each other's bases and logistic bases as well as other facilities, all kinds of logistic facilities. Now, why it is important for us is because of lot of explorations which we want to do in Arctic. If you see in Arctic, the only country which has largest number of bases is Russia. And if you minus Russia, and they have maximum snow cutters and they have maximum kind of bases. If you want to explore Arctic, there is no other way that we can do it without their help. So it gives India an advantage in a territory where you do not have bases. At the same time, as far as Russia is concerned, it also gives them a fair amount of advantage when they want to operate in this area. And if they want to transit,
if they want to transit through the
exactly,
Indian Ocean.
through the Indian Ocean. More so, this transit will become important because we are also looking at international north-south transport corridor. We are also looking at the Chennai-Vladivostok corridor.
Correct.
Now,
So
if
both these were discussed, sir.
Yes.
So connectivity was discussed
Yes.
in the great
So
detail.
when this connectivity is on, then obviously trade would increase, and the trade would increase. That means the movement of ships will also increase. At the same time, it is not that we have done only with Russia. We have also signed a similar agreement with the USA. We have signed with, I think, half a dozen of countries.
We've signed with USA, we've signed with France, we've signed with Japan.
Yeah, so half a dozen countries, more than half a dozen
Philippines,
countries. We've already
signed with
signed
Australia.
So it's not a
standalone thing.
Standalone thing. But then the fact is that this is beneficial to both. And this issue of the Arctic was something which was attracting India's and also the Russian, I mean, why, as you very clearly pointed out, as to why there was a delay. Now, delay was that earlier, you see, Russia didn't have very much of interest in Indian Ocean, frankly speaking. At the same time, we were not finding that we have a reason to be, we were not so much involved with Arctic. We had some exploration, but not that much. But now I think both want to do it. And similarly, with the kind of, because of this war, with the kind of relationship which Russia has with the West, now they have shifted the entire focus that their trade is most of it is going to be in Asia and in Southeast Asia and with India. So therefore, their focus also has to come to Indo-Pacific in some manner or the other. Now, so this is the need which has been realized as a result of this war, and as a result of our looking for opportunities in certain other areas where we were not there, like Arctic. So with this, I think perhaps this loss has been signed as of now.
Oh, thank you, sir. I think you've covered this very, very well. And, the viewers must realize that you've got great amount of knowledge as far as military operational logistics is concerned, having, served in the operational logistic directorate and, written a large number of papers on that. So, I mean, the absolute great insights on this, sir. And I think the visit went off very well, sir. It was very... not only symbolic, it was very substantive, sir, and large number of issues were discussed. But like you said, it was very mature, and yet we demonstrated very categorically to the world regarding our strategic autonomy, and that we choose our friends and we choose our interests and we go by that, sir.
And not only that, I must also highlight that because by inaugurating RT India by President Putin himself, I think a very clear-cut message was given that yes, we have friends who want to listen to Russia in India.
Yes, you were very much there that day.
Yes, I was very much there,
yes,
part of that ceremony.
Sir.
So,
thank you.
That was a good message being given.
Right, so thank you. And I thank you very much for sparing your time and sharing your wonderful insights with our viewers. Thank you, everyone, and Jai Hind.
Thank you.